Good morning. My name is Robin Robbins. I'm with Appalachian Harvest. I will be presenting today Module 1, the Basic GAP Food Safety Training section. GAP stands for Good Agriculture Practices. The section that we will be working on is writing your farm food safety plan. Before we do get started today, we need to clarify that this training session is not an approved training curriculum as required by the Food and Drug Administration. Official FSMA, Food Safety Modernization Act trainers must be approved as required by the Food and Drug Administration. The Federal Food and Drug Administration has now approved a curriculum and has begun verifying trainers as specified under the final rule on produce safety dated November 27, 2015. Official FSMA training is being conducted by associates of the Produce Safety Alliance, and we will learn more about that in this afternoon's session. So, why are we here today? Well, you are here in order to learn how to meet the requirements in order to sell fresh produce into wholesale markets. Buyers are already requiring growers to become GAP certified to assure that products are safe for consumers. This is an industry-driven requirement, not a Food and Drug Administration requirement like FSMA, FSMA. Progressive growers want to know how to obtain GAP certification in order to sell their products. So you're here today seeking information in order to know what the requirements are and how to meet them. Again, this is a voluntary certification program. So what curriculum are we using today? Since 2009, this curriculum has been presented to over 1,800 individuals representing approximately 800 farms across 10 states. Of those participants and farms, approximately 12 to 15% have requested third-party audits. 100% of these participants have passed their audits. Who will be training you today? One of my favorite individuals in the world, Whit Morris, retired extension agent from Virginia Cooperative Extension, and myself, Robin Robbins, the General Manager of the Appalachian Harvest Food Hub, an entity of Appalachian Sustainable Development. What we want you to take home today is a great understanding of what is required for a GAP audit. This information parallels with the new laws under the Food Safety Modernization Act, FSMA. We're going to discuss farm-based food safety, the practices needed to make food safe during production, during harvest, handling your product, and transporting it while on your farm. We're going to share tools needed to prepare a plan of action manual and prepare you for a third-party audit. We're also going to understand the process of getting GAP certified. So what is GAP? Good Agricultural Practices. The agricultural and food industry adopted this acronym to represent the methods and practices considered safe and appropriate to food operations from the farm to the table. So, I'm GAP certified. Am I also FSMA compliant? Simply put, Good Agricultural Practices, GAP, is a voluntary food safety audit program driven by buyers. This does require a food safety plan. FSMA, the Food Safety Modernization Act, is the law meant to assure a uniform minimum requirement for food safety that all produce growers must adhere to. A food safety plan is optional. There is no rule that prevents industry to require GAP certification, regardless of FSMA exemption status, as it has given them another level of assurance as buyers. Good Agricultural Practices has a bit of history to it. In 1998, if you produced fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, or miscellaneous commodities, it was recognized that there needed to be an effort to minimize the risk of contamination of microbial pathogens. Thus, the Food and Drug Administration in 1998 put out a guide to minimize microbial food safety hazards for fresh fruits and vegetables. Do you remember several of the food safety outbreaks that not only caused many people to become sick in our country, but also caused substantial economic impacts to domestic producers? Specifically, in 2008, the FDA issued an advisory to avoid eating certain domestically produced tomatoes, which were linked to a salmonella outbreak. This was later found to be false, but not before it had caused substantial economic impact to domestic tomato producers. The investigation was eventually tracked back to jalapeno peppers and serrano peppers grown in Mexico. Producer, you're probably wondering which direction I should go: direct market or commercial production. We hope to help you navigate the steps to becoming HGAP compliant. From direct marketers to wholesale marketers, we want all farmers to be successful. This slide shows you a wealth of information of the resources available for a variety of compliance components, from direct markets to wholesale markets. The Produce Safety Alliance offers the Food Safety Modernization Act Produce Safety Grower Training. There is also HGAP training specific for direct marketers. There is HGAP and GHP training available for direct marketers and wholesale marketers. The USDA offers GAP, GHP, audit and certification services. The USDA, as well as other audit certification businesses, offers Produce HGAP Harmonized Audit Certification. The USDA, as well as other audit certification businesses, offers the HGAP Harmonized Plus model, which is the equivalent to the GSFI Global model. Thanks to the hard work of the USDA, we are able to comply with the GSFI Global model by offering the HGAP Plus certification training for our domestic farmers. Where do we get started? A good place to start is with the USDA Good Agricultural Practices, Good Handling Practices Audit Verification Checklist. This can be found in your manual as DOC 8.01. What are the contents and the requirements of a USDA audit program? First of all, demographic questions are required in all. Demographic questions are questions such as, did the auditee participate in GAP, GHP training? In that section, you will note the name of the person from your farm that attended the training. Is there a map that accurately represents the farm operation? The legal description and GPS coordinates for the farm requesting the audit. Questions such as these are located in the demographic questions section and are required in all audits. General questions. General questions are required and included in all audits, and you must pass this section. General questions cover the implementation of your food safety program. A documented food safety program that incorporates GAP and/or GHP has been implemented for this farm. Yes, no, or NA. Obviously, if you're requesting an audit, your response would be yes. This operation has a designated individual to implement and oversee an established food safety program. Yes, no, or NA. A documented traceability program has been established. This question is worth 15 points, and in your training you will learn about how to establish a food safety traceability program for your farm. So the answer to this question would be yes. These are samples of the questions included in the general questions section of your audit. Another section is called Part 1, Farm Review. The Farm Review section actually includes questions such as, what is the source of irrigation for this farm? Pond, stream, well. You are required to provide a response, yes, no, or NA. If your answer to that question is written in the box provided, your answer will always be yes. For example, what is the source of irrigation water? At my farm, my response is municipal water. So my answer is yes. How are crops irrigated? Drip irrigation, sprinkler, other. My farm, I use hand watering in my greenhouses and drip irrigation in my fields. So therefore, in my response section, I write hand watering and drip irrigation, and my response to the water usage question is yes. These are questions that are included in the Farm Review section within the USDA Audit Program. Part 2, Field Harvest and Field Packing Activities. In this section, you give a description on how your products are handled in the field. Part 3, House Packing Facility, oftentimes referred to as a packing shed or a packing house. If your farm does not have a packing house, you will not request Part 3 within the contents of your audit. If your farm does have a packing house, your first year, you may not request for that to be certified. However, most buyers require, if you have a packing house on site, to have that included in your audit. Part 4, Storage and Transportation. Do you store and transport products? Part 5 is not used in the audit scheme at this time. Part 6, are you a wholesale distribution or terminal warehouse? If so, you would do demographic questions, general questions, and Part 6 when you're requesting your audit. Part 7 is the Preventative Food Defense Procedures. Some buyers require for Part 7 to be included in your audit request. Getting started. Now that we understand the 7 audit areas that we can request for our farms, we're going to take a look at the existing farm. We're going to utilize tools such as the Cornell Self-Assessment located in your manual under DOC 4.07, the USDA Self-Audit Checklist DOC 4.08 in your manual, and we're going to determine what areas apply to your farming operation. The farm, production operation, wholesale distribution center or terminal, warehouse, can be certified in any one or all 7 of these audit areas. Remember, demographics are required, general questions are required, and then any one or all 7 can be included in your audit request. This has changed from 8 to 7 audit areas in November 2009. Traceback is now a section that is included in each of the other 7 areas. The GAP certification process. First of all, we're going to develop a Plan of Action Manual. This is a written document that outlines your entire food safety program and documents how you plan to carry it out on your farm or operation. Number 2, monitoring and recording the activities related to the established food safety practices in your POA manual. Request an on-the-farm audit from your State Department of Agriculture. A portion of your POA manual will be submitted and scored before the auditor arrives at your farm. Making a passing score on the audit to become GAP certified. This is one of the criteria that I would rate as highly important. Number 5, continue to maintain the activities and be prepared for an unannounced visit during the same year. We are requesting the auditor to come to our farm the first time. However, we are promised an announced and an unannounced during the same year. Are the same items required for all farms? Because the same audit questions are asked of all farms during the audit, the questions are the same, but the answers are custom fit to your farm operation and situation as described in your farm food safety plan of action manual. The method that one farmer may use to comply with one question may be different than another farmer. Both may still be correct responses, and both will receive credit for these questions. However, they may be totally different responses. Which example is correct? Here you will see 5 different hand washing stations. Analyze them for a moment. Now, which one of these hand washing stations would be the correct one? You guessed it, all of them are correct. The farmers have had different experiences, different resources, and different creative strategies to comply with a hand washing station on the farm. However, in this instance, you will see there are 5 different methods of executing compliance. Developing your plan of action manual. Remember, a plan of action manual is a written document that outlines your entire food safety program and documents how you plan to carry it out on your farm operation. It also helps you identify hazards on your farm. It helps to identify preventative controls. It helps to set up monitoring systems. A plan of action manual is an organized system recognized by auditors and other personnel associated with your farm. When you have a well-established plan of action manual, you can move into full certification if and when needed rapidly. The manual you received today is your farm's plan of action manual. This is your farm's food safety plan. Your manual is laid out as follows. Section 1, your written plan of action. Section 2, standard operating procedures. Section 3, records and log sheets. Section 4, supporting documents. Section 5, traceability records. Section 6, crop protection records. Section 7, HGAP training class materials. And Section 8, the appendix. Section 1, written plan of action. Earlier plans were written in a narrative form. Some farms still use this method. Auditors read, locate, and score the information that conforms to the audit verification checklist. This score sheet is required during the audit. This takes additional time to read and additional time to score. You are being charged for this additional time. The plan of action templates sort information with the audit checklist questions. A well-written plan of action saves time and saves money for the farmer. In your manual, you will find plan of action templates. For example, the plan of action template for the general questions. You will see that the question is posed in the first column, the response in the middle, yes, no, NA, D for document, and notes on the far right. This template is very handy because it parallels with the scoring sheet used by the auditor. Section 2, Standard Operating Procedures. These are used to outline a farm or company policy related to food safety. They show you what to expect to be done and how you want specific operations done on your farm. They are written with a short explanation and a list of procedures to complete the activity. In the plan of action, a P indicates that a policy or standard operating procedure, SOP, must be documented in the food safety plan in order to show that you have complied with the question. Here is a sample of a standard operation procedure for cleaning and sanitizing hand harvest equipment. You will note at the top it has the farm name, the document number, the title, what date this SOP was effective. It was reviewed by the name of your GAP coordinator and the date. Section 3, Records and Logs. In the Plan of Action section, an R indicates that a record is required to be kept showing an action was taken. This is an example of a mock traceback log. Here you will see the farm name at the top, the document number 3.12, date, who it was conducted by, the lot number, the product being traced, and the information that is required for one step back and the information that is required for one step forward. This is a record or a log sheet that is required to be maintained in your Plan of Action manual. This is one sample of many templates that are already provided for you to help make your obtaining GAP certification much easier with templates rather than starting from scratch. Section 4, Supporting Documents. Supporting documents help to substantiate the response to the audit question. A document may be a combination of a standard operating procedure outlining a company's policy as well as a record indicating that a particular action was taken. In the POA, a D indicates that a document or documents are required to show conformance to the question. Your supporting document section also includes farm maps. Begin with an aerial photo showing the farm location and layout. Include production areas. You can obtain these from the FSA or NRCS mapping system, or the county GIS system, Google Earth, or you can even hand draw them. You can set up one map to meet several requirements: location, traceability, and to assist with your water quality assessment. Your farm map can demonstrate the location of field boundaries. It can also demonstrate buffer zones, the assignment of field numbers, the locations of all your water sources and where the water goes, and you can demonstrate the location of the septic or animal waste areas and the mandatory buffer zones that you must have in order to maintain safe on-the-farm practices. Training certificates can also be put into the supporting document section of your food safety manual. After attending today's training, you will receive a certificate of completion in the mail. This demonstrates that you have completed continuing education hours in the area of good agricultural practices. If you attend a training that does not offer a certificate, you can always ask the instructor to provide you with a copy of the sign-in sheet that will demonstrate your attendance. Make sure you put a copy of each of these trainings in your food safety manual in the supporting document section and update them annually. Another supporting document are floor plans. If you have a packing house or a greenhouse or a specified work area, you may want to provide a floor plan to show product flow, the docking system, the cooling system, your pest management location, where your employee break area is designated, your hand washing station, as well as emergency stations where first aid can be located. Having a good organized floor plan in your manual can help your employees as well as the auditor understand where all the specific locations of activities occur in your packing shed, your greenhouse, or in your work area. Section 5, Traceability Records. This manual has provided you with the following documents to help you set up a farm traceback system. Julian calendars, one for the regular year and one for leap year when needed. A document for crop codes, a document to record field codes or field numbers, and a document to record farm production and disposition reporting. Ideal traceback codes are simple, stable over time, they have the minimal number of digits, they have room for future growth, and you can add on but not edit. When setting up a farm traceback code system, it is simple to help to remember this sentence. On date and year, I harvested crop number from field number. When using the Julian calendar, each day of the year has its own number ranging from 1 to 365. The day-date code needs to have 3 digits in it. So for example, if you were entering something for January 9th, this would be 009. If you were entering March 17th, this would be coded as 076. The year-date code needs to be the last 2 digits of the current year. For example, for 2021, in the code, you would use 21. Utilizing the document provided for traceback crop codes, you can use 2-digit numbers to establish your crop codes specific to your farm. For example, bell peppers may be 01, tomatoes 02. This document allows you to go up to 99 different crops in order to incorporate them into your traceback crop code system. The document provided for traceback field codes allows you to use 2 digits up to 99 to identify the fields that correspond with the numbers you have used on your map. So with this specific group of numbers, known as our traceback code, what are we identifying? We are identifying one step back, the date of harvest, the crop harvested, and the field location. When invoiced, that is one step forward, the customer name and destination and the ship date. And we're also identifying the production logs, the documentation of the harvested quantity and the customer and destination. Therefore, when you harvest your crop and take it to its destination, the traceback code follows that all the way to your invoice. Therefore, that you can prove that there was a change of custody from this specific crop, from this specific field, on this specific day to this specific buyer, and it is now this buyer's responsibility. Oftentimes, growers become frustrated when setting up a good traceability system. However, as a farmer myself, I feel like a good traceability system is helping to shift the liability off the farm and to the next step forward. If I can prove that the activity did not happen on X date in X field to X crop, then my one step back has covered my farm's liability. The one step forward demonstrates that on X date, I exchanged the custody of this crop from this field to this location. I feel like a good traceability system helps to insulate the farmer, and with a little bit of aggravation, you can have a whole lot more security knowing that you have proven that a situation or contamination did not occur at your farm. Using the information we just learned, what does this sequence of numbers tell us? For example, 152. That is June the 1st on our Julian calendar. 12 is the year, so that would be 2012. 39 is the crop, so that's crop number 39 from my Traceback crop code sheet. 11 is the field number, so this is my traceability number, which helps me to identify that on June 1st of 2012, I harvested crop number 39 from field number 11. Section 6, Crop Protection Records. Anytime we apply an input or a spray to our crop or to our fields, we need to record it in the record book provided. You also need to maintain the product labels. You need to maintain the safety data sheets, the SDS sheets. Make sure that any workers handling the products have been trained and your training is noted with the name of the trainer, the time and the date, and the signature of the employees. Always remember that anybody handling pesticides or any type of input must have a pesticide license, or the licensed individual must be within reasonable distance to the individual applying the application. This should be noted in your record book and maintained in your plan of action manual. Here's an example of the record of crop protection products applied. Note the farm name, the location, and the crop year. Section 7 in your manual is noted as class notes. These include the PowerPoint training presentation, traceability publication, Food Safety Modernization Act FSMA information, and other training materials. Section 8, Appendix. The following items are located in this section. The USDA audit questions/scoring. The audit request forms. Remember, the auditors do not show up without you inviting them. You will find the water testing laboratories document, OSHA field sanitation document, signage that you can use at your farm, the pre-audit checklist, chlorination and food-grade chlorine documents, and other documents used to support this training. From today's training of Section 1, I hope you can understand the top 15 action items that need to be addressed in good agricultural practices. Documentation, 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 and more documentation. Item 15. If it's not written down, it did not happen. Direct marketers. A final note for direct marketers attending this class. Participate in training and look for additional training opportunities. Develop your farm plan. Work your plan and make it a living document. And stay tuned for upgrades and updates coming your way. As your farm grows, ask yourself, what if I decide to expand and sell produce in wholesale quantities in the wholesale arena? What will I need to know? Advice to growers. Know what your buyers and packers require in the way of HGAP certification. Find this information out before you grow your crop. Do not wait until the last minute. If you know you need to be HGAP certified, this process takes a reasonable amount of time and effort, so plan ahead. Put the harmonized HGAP certification on your radar. We've evolved a long way since 1998 and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's publication of food safety. We've evolved a long way since our 2008 publication of this manual. The food safety demand from buyers continues to grow and increase. If you wish to stay a long time in the wholesale arena, then plan to become harmonized HGAP on your farm. For additional HGAP resources for growers, please feel free to visit this website. Morris has spent many years developing this manual and keeping it up to date, and going to multiple states to train over 1,000 farmers, almost 2,000 farmers, with 15% of them requesting audits and 100% of them having pass rates. I encourage you, if you have any questions or need additional resources, please try this website first. Thank you for your kindness and your attention during this presentation. Are there any questions at this time?